Okay, agents. Now we're going to talk about RE154. Real estate form RE154 is an exclusive lease management agreement. Lease management is obviously not only when you lease out a property, but it's when you manage the property. Managing a property, if you don't know what that means, obviously you shouldn't be doing it, but right now Zellerman does not offer property management. However, I will go over the form to explain it. Because at some potential point we might. We have done it before, and we might do it again. But property management is where we collect the payments from the tenants, we schedule repairs. At the end of the day, the landlord just receives one check per month of the net. So it's kind of a carefree way to rent out your properties. We handle not only the tenant screening, but also collecting payments and any type of minor repair. So let's go ahead and look at the form. RE154. You will notice at the top of the form, obviously, put our date once again. Always important to have correct. The same disclosures are in all of our forms, so I'm not going to go over those disclosures again. If you want to hear the detail, go back to RE100. So our form starts here, our contract. For lease management right here. So we'll put in our date, July 7th, 2014, between the owner of the property, right? We'll just put owner. Obviously you put their first and last name. If there's two owners, you put it in both places, and Zellerman. You put the property address. Obviously if you're going to meet with them, you already have this filled out. You get this information from the tax records. The term. The term must be for the amount of the lease. So at least 1 year minimum term on the lease management. So I would put, if it's from today, from July, probably be from a July 1st date, or let's say August 1st. 1/4, because it would go from month to month to August 1/15, okay? If the lease is a 24-month lease, then I would do a 2-year management agreement. At the lease price, so let's say this person agreed to pay $2,500 per month for a minimum of 12 months and a maximum of 12 months under this agreement. Renewals, 60 days notice. And this says, unless either party provides written notice to the other party within 60 days of their intent to terminate this agreement, the agreement shall automatically be renewed for a period of, you could do monthly, you could do 1 year, you could do 6 months. Since this is a year to year, I'm going to put 1 year. Okay? So the owner would have to give us 60 days notice that they're not going to continue us managing their property, and vice versa. In the termination, either party may terminate this agreement within blank days of written notice to the other. However, broker shall be entitled to, and landlord shall pay promptly upon such early termination any amounts remaining on to be unpaid on this agreement. So we're going to say 60 days. So either party can still terminate this agreement between 60 days, but because you do have a contractual relationship here, and we are making an investment, if they decide to terminate this early or within 12 months, they would still owe for the remaining balance of the 12 months. Broker's rights. After termination, we are going to put 90 days here, as we generally do. If the property was offered to someone else that we had showed during the agreement, we still have 90 days, even though our agreement maybe has ended. If it was someone we procured, we still have 90 days after that. Now let's talk about compensation here. 3.1, a leasing fee. Our leasing fee standard is 100%. Obviously, everything's negotiable. And then this will be NA, whichever is greater. A lease renewal fee, since we're managing the property, we're going to charge 50%. Okay. We'll do NA there. And then 50% for the renewal fee. And then NA there. Okay. The management fee, what we charge is It's in between 10 to 20%, depending on how complex. Let's just say this is 10% of each month's rental. A vacancy fee, we do not charge a vacancy fee. If it's vacant, it's our fault if we're not leasing it, most likely. So we're not going to charge the owner for that. If the property does sell within our contract or shortly after our contract for someone we have produced as a client, we're going to charge them the standard 6%. This is all negotiable when you work this out, but that is what we would, in this case, we will charge. And then this is going to be NA. We're not going to charge a flat dollar amount. And then 3.6, we are not charging a retainer fee in this case, so that would be NA there as well. Okay. Now this is page 3 of 9. Make sure they sign an initial bottom, both of you, on each page. We are a member of FMLS. To some of you, this is going to seem a little foreign because you're not used to property management. It's kind of entailed. The security deposit, since we're managing it, we will hold it by the broker. If the landlord is holding it, you would check landlord, but we can't manage it and let them hold the security deposit, so we would hold it in this case. Initial deposits and contingency reserve. This is kind of a case-by-case item, that since we're paying the bills on behalf of the owner and sending them a net check each month, they would have to put up some amount of money up front. So I'm not even going to fill these out, but that's where these two sums would come in, so just read that. This goes into disbursements, when things are going to be dispersed. Section 6 is like our Section 5s before. It goes into marketing, gives us the right to market the property. Management goes into leases, how we pay expenses, what records, how we maintain our records. Before entering a contract, the landlord is going to give us a right, and let's say for anything under $250, we can go ahead and fix without their approval, and we'll send them a receipt. If it is above $250, we'll call to get their approval on. They may want to get further bids. Optional and additional duties, qualifications of tenants, move in, move outs. If we're managing it, we would do all of that. Preventive maintenance on the property. We can help with that. Routine inspections to occur probably twice a year. We want to do gutter, HVAC. All this is self-explanatory. Just fill this out as your property dictates. Reoccurring expenses to be paid from the broker's trust account. For instance, maybe we are going to pay property insurance, maybe yard maintenance. Any of these items that we are paying on behalf of the landlord need to be checked off here. Be very careful that you're checking correctly, and each of you look over this. It doesn't help either party if we're not accurate on these. Tenant default services. This is how, if we're going to provide any default services, what we can do. We can send demand letters. We can enter in proceedings. We can be present with local law enforcement. So these are all optional things we can do as property management. Duties of landlords. This goes into their duties to us to maintain insurance, etc. You can read those. Property disclosures. They'll provide a landlord disclosure statement. Landlords don't always do that, but it is nice to have. Okay, here's where you check that it has not been flooded in the past 5 years. If it has, we need an explanation of what has been flooded and how it's been treated. Scroll down here. Again, this is more time is of the essence. The laws are removed in the state of Georgia, similar to all of our under contracts on miscellaneous. Special stipulations. Of course, we have our administration fee here. This should already show up in your box when you open the contract. If not, you just go to Add, Company, Stipulations, and then Landlord. And once again, this is the signature page, our favorite page. That means both parties agreed to our contract. Make sure their full name is there. Make sure their email address is there, and their actual physical address. Both parties will sign this. The binding agreement date is, of course, the day that both parties agreed to sign. That is it. If you have any questions, ask your broker.